How many of you know that all the people in the field are usually trained by someone, including the person who takes the last position? He was trained by someone. Only that his formula was weak and inferior. And the only way it is tested is when the gun is shot and everybody begins to run. Are we together now? We play football and there are nations that from their first match they return home. Now I don't mean to be, are we together? They all came in the field, they were dressed, they jogged, they were happy, and yet, and the ones who won them most times were confident. They knew they were sending them home. How do you pay for people's flight tickets? They get, I'm not being sarcastic. And from the first match, they lose all the matches and return home. It's not the players. The problem is the formula. Look at me. When you mention prestigious universities today like Harvard, Yale, Stanford, MIT, and all these great global, do you know why they excel? It is not necessarily the students. It is that they have designed, they found a winning formula. Are we together? And that any student that diligently passes through that formula will emerge a certain kind of student. Organizations began to identify students who pass through those institutions because of this formula. When you eat McDonald's or KFC, the reason why there is consistency, regardless who prepares it, is because they submit to the same formula. Are we together now? Isn't it amazing that they fire and employ people and you do not know based on the taste of what you are eating? You are not even aware that the person who made the chicken, it was his first time. The power of that formula. So Paul is saying, if you lose in the race of life, it is because you did not respect this formula. Please, I want you to understand what I'm teaching you tonight. There is a formula. Something plus something in the spirit equals an apostle. Something plus something in the spirit equals a prophet. Something plus something in the spirit equals kingdom wealth. Something plus something in the spirit equals a healing ministry. Something plus something in the spirit. You don't just carry mantles. You don't just carry the anointing. You don't just carry grace. There is a formula that produces an intercessor. There is a formula that produces a prayer warrior. There is a formula that produces a healing evangelist. There is a formula that produces a man of influence. There is a formula that produces a man of power. Listen. Please listen to me. I don't mean to insult your understanding, but please listen to me. How many of you know that a professor of medicine and surgery from here in South Africa can meet for the first time with a professor of medicine and surgery in America and meet with a professor of medicine and surgery from India? Their first time of meeting can be the surgical room for the first time, and none of them would doubt themselves because there was an institution that accredited them. So why do I see a believer in South Africa and a believer in Kenya and a believer in Nigeria and a believer somewhere else, and there are different variety of people? I'm telling you that those variety are a reflection of the deviation or compliance to this pattern. This is the reason for failure. Now, you may blame the landlord. You may blame your wife. You may blame your husband. They are the obvious answers, not the right ones. That there are consequences. Please listen. God himself designed. I hope you know. Sit down, please sit down. I hope you know that Apostle Paul, before he began his exegesis of the Pauline epistles, Paul humbly gave us his credentials to know the basis of his apostolic authority. Ephesians 3 and verse 3. So that you did not doubt when you heard him speak things that were very deep. He says, how that by revelation he made known unto me the mystery, as I wrote afore in few words. Verse 4, it says, whereby when you read, you may understand my knowledge in the mystery of Christ, which before time, verse 5, was hidden. It was not made known to the sons of men, but now it is being revealed unto his holy apostles and prophets by the Spirit. What is the mystery? Verse 9, that this mystery makes all men see. Verse 9, all men, to make all men, regardless your background, it can open your eyes to see what makes for victory. Let me tell you this, ladies and gentlemen. I have read my Bible. Everyone the Bible calls a cloud of witness, in their generation there was a pattern for victory and glory that was revealed. Whoever became great was not necessarily the one prophesied, but the one who walked in keeping with that pattern. The difference between enviable prophetic destinies and destinies that are void of color, dominion, and exploits is not necessarily being born again. You can have two believers who are saved, but one has decided to look unto Jesus, whereas another person decided to invent a formula to run his life with. And the thing about God is that when you choose to reject his formula, he will respect whatever you bring, but you must be ready to face the consequence of using another formula.